Phil and David going at it in practice there, what goes through your mind?
Great.
Why?
Competition. Guys going to compete in practice. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a regular thing that used to happen all the time, and in most teams, teams need to compete in practice, and that's just the way it is. It's part of the game.
Yeah, Booth said that maybe it would carry over to tomorrow night.
Hopefully. We want to start instilling that whole idea that there's competition everywhere, and that's an ongoing thing, and so it starts, and that's good for people to step out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the fact that it was Phil who was in the middle of it, I mean, does that send a message? He's not known as
sending messages. It's just competition. There doesn't have to be a message sent. I mean, it's just the team is competing, and it happens. You didn't see everybody kind of worried about it. They kind of went in and said, okay, and then they went on and started the other end again. I mean, that's just part of it. I mean, teams, we want to get that, install that idea that we're going to work hard in practice, compete in practice. Sometimes those things happen and you move on. I'm sure if you talk to Bobby and talked about all the days when he was playing with all the guys that he played with, and they were pretty tough, and some people that happened on a regular basis. I know it happened in the teams that I was on.
Did you ever have a dust-up with a teammate?
Yeah, I think I competed in practice, and I don't think guys always like that to hit in practice. I mean, you weren't hitting to hurt, but I mean, you're playing hard, and it happened. I think I ended up getting in between a few people.
Peter, what's your sense of that Kessel line right now? Obviously, they're on the ice for the goals against, but they're getting chances and shots on goal, and it's just not happening. Is there a finger to be put on that, or how do you
know what?
what?
They had some pretty good chances, and they walked down there again. If they weren't getting better chances, if the chances were all just coming from the outside, then you would have to kind of push the envelope. But what we want them to do is not necessarily trade the chances with the other team's best line, but to create chances and be a little more secure in some of those areas. Like all the lines, we want that, but their line certainly is the most dangerous line. But we want them to make sure that they're in a good spot.
Seeing a comfort level with Eric Brewer now that he's been here a couple of weeks and getting a chance to play with Dion?
Yeah, I mean, he's really been a positive for us. His leadership in the room, the things he says in the room, his work ethic. He doesn't take days off. He works at his game. His experience that he's parlaying onto the other people, and things that he's now put himself into. Other than the first two games, I think he maybe had one game where he looked a little bit, his feet looked a little low off. He's worked hard and been one of our better defensemen every game. So he's been really positive for us, and and I think that's what you want out of a guy that's played 1,000 games.
Back to Kessel, Zach and JVR for a sec.
Morgan Riley. Let's talk about him.
I'll ask you about Morgan in a second. But just, the emphasis on plus minus isn't what it used to be for various reasons. But is there still a bit of, how much of a red light goes off for you, no pun intended, that they're the bottom three in the National Hockey League?
I think where our team is right now, we don't want to see somebody in that position. They've got, two of them have got almost 50 points, and they've got 3, 4, 5 times as much as most players on your team points-wise. You need to shorten that up. There's a lesson to be learned with everything we do. We have to be focused on what our going forward is going to be. Is that line, you can't have that in the future. You want to be able to create offense, and that's what I was talking about. You don't want to be able to give up and be on the other side. So that's something they all got to kind of pull up and go in that direction. Other lines need to be able to create in different ways, but our team is morphing and learning how to be a better team. And right now the lessons learned and the lessons taught have to start moving forward with them.
After a night like last night, do you speak with Jonathan Bernier, or has he just been in the league long enough that he knows?
No, I talked to him after the game, and his take on some of the things. I mean, when you're backing in and you're screened, the slap shot from the side, he comes from the goal line up, and the guy's walking down on it right under the bar, and the other one was right under the bar, and the third one looked like it was right between his legs. His vision of it went off Morgan's skate. But either way, we needed the change at that point. Our second period was not good. And so we loosened up. Our game was relaxed. We're backing in. We were giving up odd man chances, turning pucks over again. First period and third period probably because we were on a push and they were playing defensive. But our first period was better than it hadn't been in the past, but our second period wasn't good, and we needed to make a change. So that's just part of it.
You obviously don't place the responsibility on any one individual, but with the goalies and all the losing you've done, do you think it's tough, particularly on them, just because they're kind of in the spotlight?
I think that there's a certain amount of toughness for him. There's a certain amount for other players going through it. I think every guy, if you don't feel that when you're losing games, if you don't feel it, then there's a problem. So I think that difficulty runs through the whole team. That's a lesson to be learned too. There's things that we've all got to gauge and understand and feel this, so you don't have to feel it again, and know that you've gone through this and you don't want to ever do that again. Younger players coming in, where we are now is different than where it was even a month ago, because the lineup's different, the team's different. You have new guys coming in. You have Casey Bailey coming in, who's done decently in his first opportunity, and guys like you're looking at Panic and where he is in this game. He's so talented, but there's parts of his game that is undisciplined, where he turns pucks over. And there's other players that you're looking at where Sill is in his game, and you're looking at where guys like Kozin and where does he fit in different places. So there's so many things that for our team right now, we need to be able to become a better team. And become a better team means a lot of different things. It's, we don't want to see anybody in the top plus minus. That's not a good stat. Nobody wants to see that. There are, our best scorers who can't be our worst minus. It's just where the team is right now.
What kind of message can Nas send to you and management in the final couple of weeks? Is there anything he can do to kind of make a statement to you?
Well, how he reacts in these next 7 games are going to be important. Like the team wants Nazi to drive. He wants to be an emotional driving force. He needs to be on the ice in different situations, and positive, defensive, offensive. He wants to be an emotional leader. He's good when he's on edge, when he's playing physical. He needs to be an emotional leader of a team. He needs to learn how to do that, and not just play when he feels great. He needs to be able to do it all the time and drive the team and be a leader. He needs to become that leader. And to do that, he needs to step up and be consistently at the top of his game for these next 7 games and show that this is sunk in.
So does that mean lighting a fire himself, like lighting an internal fire?
What does that mean?
Night? Like just kind of getting himself...
Being ready and internally, yeah. That's what every player has to do. Like, if you're coming to the game without that kind of internal drive, then you're going to kind of ease your way into a game, and some players play better when they're upset or mad or things happen. Some players have to feel really in the perfect zone to be able to play. You don't always feel perfect. You're bumped and you're bruised and you're tired. Sometimes you got to find a way to be an effective player every game. And
I was going to ask you about Morgan. Are you guys past the point as a staff where you tell him to follow his instinct, or is that just coming a lot more naturally for him now?
Follow his instincts, like to jump up and where it is. I think that instinct has to be molded. There's time when to go, when he's not a good place to go. We don't want him to go and then create a 2-on-1 or the other way. That's not a good trade. It's understanding where there's danger, understanding when it's a good time to go, when to be involved, where to go. He doesn't have to do it every time, doesn't have to make a perfect play every time. Same thing with Jake. They just have to make good decisions, and that's molding those decisions and showing them what's the better decision to do in this situation. And each opportunity, every shift, Stevie right now is going over every time they touch the puck, and what is the best decision with that. And so over a period of time, you're hopefully a 20-year-old defenseman, when he's 23, 22, is when he's starting to get it, Morgan's 20, how old's Jake?
24.
24, so he came out of college just a little later. Like these guys, they have to make decisions about where they are on the ice and what the situation is, and that's part of molding those decisions.
Brewer and Zach get a chance to get back in the other side of this. If Sam is available, is he better needed with the Marlies in that big game that they've got tomorrow in terms of his overall development?
Well, I think Smitty is ready to go back in the lineup, and still practice today, so I'll get a better indication in a little bit here to see where he is. I didn't think that he was going to be available, but he practiced the whole practice, and so it seemed like he was okay. So we'll see where he is at when we'll talk, and then we'll make decisions on the lineup based on how they're feeling.